Today, as we talk about the church, I was reflecting back on my journey with the church. And I remember my first interaction with the church really started as a young kid, but it started to flourish in my mind and heart when I was in middle school. My parents had divorced. My dad had custody as a single father over my brother and I, and he started going back to church. Now, the church that I was in at the time, the adult service was really boring. And I'm not going to say much more than that. It was just long sermons, way longer than my sermons. And it was just not great, but the student ministry was awesome. And I remember on Wednesday nights, I would go to lifeguard student ministry in the basement of the church where we were attending at the time. It was cold, it smelled like middle school students, which is a combo between pizza and sweat. And I would go in there, and all day long, I'd be at school, I'd be made fun of. There were all kinds of names that kids would call me. And then I would go to church, and all of a sudden, everything was different. People knew my name, there was love, there was acceptance, there was hospitality, and my life was radically changed because I was a part of a local church. And in that journey, God started to put inside of me a desire for more people to experience the joy of the local church. I remember being in high school and God starting to give an increased vision to my life that I was supposed to vocationally engage in his local church. So I went to college, I met Stacy. Immediately we started serving in a student ministry at the church right next to the college campus. They didn't have a middle school pastor, so I said, hey, I have no experience, no education, but I'll do the job for free. So they took me, and they said, okay, we'll let you do it. So Stacy and I did that for 4 years during college, and every Monday, we'd meet together with our little notebooks and plan out student ministry together, and we fell in love in the process, and I got a wife out of serving in student ministry, so it was awesome. And yeah, you can clap for that. It worked out well. So in addition to that, though, now looking back, close to 25 years in vocational ministry, I've watched God change my children's lives. And I've seen all 3 of my kids come to faith in Jesus, get baptized, and their lives be changed because of the local church. Now, in college, as I was pursuing this dream that God had put in my heart, I picked up a book, and you might have heard of it. It's called Purpose-Driven Church. And I remember as I was reading this book, Pastor Rick Warren, the founding pastor of Saddleback Church, was describing the vision that God had put in his heart in 1980 to start this church. And I remember just poring over these pages, having my heart so deeply stirred for the power and potential of the local church. If the local church is on fire and thriving, it can impact and transform the world. And I just remember saying, God, use me in your local church.